Hi everyone, welcome back to Mom's SST Shiksha. Today's chapter, Sectors of the Indian Economy. So a brief summary before we dive into the chapter. This chapter explains how economic activities in India are divided into different sectors based on the type of work. The three main sectors are the primary sector, secondary, and tertiary sector. These sectors are interdependent and together they contribute to the country's GDP and employment. This chapter also discusses problems like disguised unemployment, especially in agriculture. It further classifies the economy into organized and unorganized sectors, as well as public and private sectors based on working conditions and ownership. So let's start. First question is, what is a primary sector? The next question is, what is the secondary sector? Both on page 20. And here is the answer to a board question that I found. The primary sector is one of the most important sectors of economic activity in the initial state of development. Give your reasons. 3 points. I've written this and put it in my son's textbook on a post-it. You can write it in the book that you should be maintaining for all extra questions, or you can simply take a screenshot, but make sure you do. What is the tertiary sector and some other examples of the tertiary sector, both on page 20. Kindly mark it like it's shown. So the questions here are, why are only final goods and services counted? How is total production calculated? What is GDP and how is it calculated? This is a board question, so pay attention. And what authority in India is responsible for measuring GDP? On pages 22 and 23 respectively, please mark. So here's a question from the little purple box in the textbook. What does the history of developed countries indicate about the shifts that have taken place between sectors? I've just put in a little bit of an introduction, and then the rest of the answer can be marked in the textbook. So kindly do so, page 23. So here our question is, why is the tertiary sector becoming so important in India? It's on page 24. It's a board question. I have written it. Marked it point-wise. So kindly do the same. Also, please make note that on pages 24 and 25, there are some graphs. You need to take a look at those graphs and also the little bit of a narration that goes around with it. So make sure you read it properly, understand what that graph is all about. On this page, we have just one question. On page 25, do all of the sectors grow at an equal pace? So this is the graph that's on page 25 that I mentioned before. The question is in the textbook itself. A remarkable fact about India is that while there has been a change in the share of the three sectors in the GVA, a similar shift has not taken place in employment. Why? I have given you the answer, which is also in the textbook, so please mark it. Another board question coming up is, what is disguised unemployment? There is a bit of a, an answer that's given in the textbook, but I have put it in good terminology and given you a good definition for it, so please make note. Question here is, how can the government create more employment in rural areas? On page 27, continuing on page 28, I have given you 5 points. Kindly mark it the way it's shown. I've also put in two objective questions. Planning Commission is also known as the NITI or NITI Aayog, and the right to work in India is implemented in 625 districts. These are the small little bits of information that we can find in the textbook. We most likely tend to overlook them, so I've put it here in this video so that you don't. Yeah, so kindly make note. So a note on MGNREGA or right to work, board question, quite important. Kindly make note and pay extra attention. And the next question here is note on organized sector. It starts on page 30 and continues to page 31. It couldn't fit on this particular slide, and so it continues on the next slide. Please make note. So here we are, it's the continuation of the organized sector answer. So make note of this. And the next question here on page 31 is the note on unorganized sector. Important, so please make note. So here is another posted question of mine, which was also a board question. Why should workers in unorganized sectors be protected? And I have given you 3 points. Kindly write it or take a screenshot. Another question, who constitutes the unorganized sector in rural and urban areas? Board question, page number 32. Pay attention. Another board questions, the difference between organized and unorganized sector. Now, see, even though you have this answer from the previous two slides, when they ask you for a difference or a comparison, make sure that it's always in a tabular form. I've said this even in my introduction video. See how organized and how pleasing to the eye it looks, and it will be very easy for the teacher or the examiner to find the key points, which is again something you should be doing, underlining key points. So this is the way an answer that asks you for difference or similarities should be presented. So please make note of this. Board question, important. So the question here is there another way of classifying economic activities? Board question on page 33. And another board question is, there are several things needed by the society as a whole, but which private sector is not able to provide at a reasonable cost? Why? Starts on 33, continues to 34. Board question, super important. So here we are. Another question, what steps can the government take in order to provide those services that the private sector cannot provide? Board question, which is on page 34. The answer is a little bit scattered, and so I have comprehensively put about 8 points here. If it comes for a 5-marker, I mean, it's most likely to come as a 5-marker. Make sure that you write at least 6 points. So you can study any 6 points from here as per your convenience, or whichever is just easier to remember. So this is a tip for the exam, that if it's a 3-marker, make sure you have an introduction and at least 4 points, 1 extra point as a buffer and a conclusion. And if it's a 5-marker, introduction, 6 points, which means 1 extra point as a buffer, and then your conclusion. So this is a board question. Please make note. Okay, that concludes the chapter. Here are the board questions that I've come across in my research. If you find anything extra, you can add it in your question bank, and these must be revised closer to the exams because it will give you focus on what is important. And now a final word. Please make sure that you've attempted all the questions in your textbook that appear at the end of the chapter. It's important. Practice your MCQs and assertion reasoning, because this is the error area where a lot of the students make mistakes. So the more you practice, the more you will understand. Now, even though I usually cover about 99% of the portion in the textbook, I will still recommend that you read the textbook a couple of times to understand all of the concepts and to understand how everything comes together to form that chapter, right? So make sure, it does not matter whether you refer to guides, you refer to past question papers. Your textbook is the most important resource that you have. Make sure you read the chapters thoroughly and understand the concepts that are within them. There are a lot of the let's work these out boxes throughout the chapter. Make sure that you do work them out because as you must have seen that in one of the slides, the purple box question was an important question for which I have given you the answer. So make sure that you do not ignore the let's work these out boxes, and make sure that you attempt everything that's in your textbook. That's all for me for this video. Beta, if this video has come in handy in any shape or form, please like, please subscribe, and please share it with all of your friends as well, so that we can reach far and wide. That's all from me. Please take care. Please take care of your health. Please make sure that you get enough of sleep. Studying is important, but your health is important too. That's all from me. Over and out.